You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Well, now, Don, we've got... gee, sometimes you go through life and the unexpected joys happen. The prodigal son's returned. Ivan, he's back from the Pilbara, or wherever he's from.
G'day, boss.
Ivan, we've had a couple of fill-ins. We had Mick Christian. Mick came in and gave us a cavalcade, a parable of blue jokes and off.
Talking about Mick,
he's good, Mick.
If anybody is short, they ought to go down. He's got a sale going at 5 Graham Street. Is it Hyatt?
Yep.
His factory. He's selling up, and there are a lot of bargains.
A lot of bargains down
5 Graham Street, and he might tell you a blue joke if you're lucky.
Yeah, no, not if you're lucky. He'll insist on telling you one. And, of course, you've departed from the doctor's instructions in Sydney, who oversaw the running of the show. I don't know if you know this, Ivan. You've had a haircut, have you?
I have.
Yeah, you fell under the council mower.
No, from an Iranian fella.
An Iranian man.
Yeah, and I said, it doesn't look
But
raining.
you cut it with a knife. Now, Mick, and Ivan, we had the doctor from Sydney. Which doctor? No, the doctor from Sydney, and he said, if you're going to do shout-outs, mate, do them at the end of the show. Don's done one straight off the top to...
that wasn't a shout-out.
That was a shout-out.
No, it depends on...
And then he sent us a whole lot of topics to use, and
Yep.
Don was of the theory that the doctor had been relegated to the back room because he had a blue with the Ayatollah. But he says that's absolutely not right. He is just interested in the show, this show, being, reasonably professional as opposed to the way we've been doing it for 2 years. So Don's done a shout-out. Now, anyhow, so
no more shout-outs till the end of the show?
Well, I've got a couple, but I'm desperately going to keep them out till the end of the show.
One of my teammates passed away yesterday too, a 25 former teammate. At 25 past 2 yesterday afternoon, Bernie Jones, who played in the 76 grand final, passed away yesterday.
That's got the show to an upbeat mood already, Don. Well done. Well, we're sorry to Bernie. Well, not to Bernie, he's not here to hear this, but we're sorry to his family and his friends and teammates and any other announcements of bereavement or death, Don?
No, hang on. Bernie holds a unique record, which is it's never going to be done again. Do you know he played for 2 different teams in the one round of VFL football?
Against himself?
No, he played. Stop and
Did he
think
pick
about
himself
it.
up?
There were 2 teams he played for in the one round, and it was a loophole in the
system
back then. And since it's been closed, but Bernie is the only player to play for 2 different teams in the one round of football.
Can I ask you a question, Don? Is this your main topic for today as we kick off? Before we've got a very important international guest to interview today. I won't mention who she is, but we're going to interview her. So this is your number one topic you've brought up.
I'd like to talk about Adam Brandt and the cost of vegetables.
Well,
I'd like to talk about Professor George Kararakis that we had on last week.
Talk about that snivelling, treacherous turd.
Oh, this narrows it down.
Hang on.
Yep.
Where's the button?
It's
the button?
It's all right to call someone a turd?
No.
Yeah, it is.
I don't,
you can call them a buffoon, or what's wrong with calling someone a turd?
No. Where's the button?
Anyhow, speak about Adam Brandt, or whatever his
name is.
I
just wonder...
can you get a more contrived, insignificant, irrelevant person leading a political party?
I didn't realise I could throw my voice.
Oh, mate, honestly, it's rat-infested. His party is rat-infested. Go ahead.
No, you're using very emotive terms without any kind of reference to hard con. He came up in the pre-election preamble about closing, the oil industry or the mining or something. He said, we just redeploy the people. Yes, hello. Where do you redeploy? Oh, well, in the town. What type of jobs are they going to do? It's all very well coming up with those ideas, but you've got to have an alternative.
Because he knows he'll never get into Parliament and the people who follow him will jump off him.
And
you
he's
said,
come
I'm giving you no reference. That this is the man who's elected to Parliament who won't stand in front of the Australian flag, wouldn't stand up because he said it's an insult to Indigenous people. I tell you what, I reckon the Indigenous people would say that is absolute shit. We are Australians and we'll fly our flag, but we'll put it next to the one that we're all getting on with. And honestly, you cannot get a more patronising show of. It makes you feel superior sometimes that these people are walking around taking oxygen.
And also, if he controls his parliament, she hasn't been outspoken lately, but Lydia Thorpe, she should have been hauled across the coals for what she said in Parliament by Brand. Now, if he did it, he did it in private and spoke to her. But, she was very public in what she said, and the apology or his action should have been made public as well.
They're complete irrelevancy, Don. They'll never...
No, they're not irrelevant because a lot of people think along those lines.
What, climate change, electric vehicles?
Well, okay, you're talking about the electricity
fossil
side.
fuels?
Yeah, now there's the thing. We're all in crisis at the moment, electricity crisis, because of the attention brought to it by activists.
Yeah, people like him.
So just to be sure, there's no supply issue with the electricity, is there? It's just a profit.
No, there is a
hang on. What's that?
There is a problem. I don't know if it's been rectified, but my information was just a couple of weeks ago there were 2 generators down at your Lawn and Loy Yang. There are 4 generators. And since this has been privatised, remember it was under the state government.
Yes.
Now, you can go back, the Liberal government sold all our instrumentalities because the country or the state was broke, had a shocking rating record for it. So they sold all the instrumentalities. Now, you could have...
So what are you saying?
It there. What I'm saying there is... A lot of this problem that we've got now is the fact that we've also privatised the instrumentality. So they're not spending money on maintaining the boilers or the generators. Now, when it was a government thing, they would completely overhaul it. Now they're taking shortcuts and the breakdowns are there. Now it's in peak period and also the other side of it. That's one thing that you can go back 20 years and our railways, our water, our electricity, all of those instrumentality. All of that, PMG, all of those.
SEC. That was called.
And the other thing is, the other thing is hatching onto this climate change thing. We've got to get
seriously. Don, Ivan was to your point. Ivan said, "Do you think the privateers it's profit over performance?" Is that what you said, Ivan?
Yep.
Of course it is.
So you reckon, this is a question, so you reckon private enterprise, you reckon government are better at running business than private enterprise?
No, I'm not saying that at all. The government could have run the business better. They were overburdened, but there's got to be a balance. And you can see that the money is not being spent. And the other side of it is, the Greens and whatever else going on about reducing fossil fuels and all the rest of it. Well, we haven't got renewables up to standard.
So nowhere in the world have they got it.
What is the point?
It's a spurious, stupid argument. Climate change. If you swallow climate change and electric vehicles and drinking straws to save the planet, plastic straws, banning. I mean, honestly, you talk about people like Band, whatever his name is. Band. You talk about people like Band who have no possible chance of ever having to put into practice any of these stupid things that they say. And seriously, the world doesn't get on and won't for the next 20 years unless we exploit fossil fuels and run the power and the industry. It just won't happen. And why we take any notice of these people is beyond me. And they're voted in by millennials who have never had to do anything in their life except whinge and nail themselves and glue themselves to the roads when climate change activists. I don't know why the people don't just run them over.
Avocados.
Yes. So,
stuck into the millennials, this will be fun.
well done. But well, seriously, go and ask the millennials how industry and the world is meant to exist and function when you're relying on the wind to blow so that the windmills go around, and it's to rain so that we can, the rain's plenty, or the sun to shine, because the sun doesn't shine for 12 hours of the day when it's night time for a start. They are just so unrealistic in what they say. The world grinds to a halt if you don't exploit fossil fuels or nuclear.
And I just wonder how long we've got to be on this planet ourselves. If you listen to George Kanarakis last week, he said that maybe cancer was developed or evolved to make sure that we passed on at an early age or later than what we're doing.
Did he actually say that?
Well, he philosophically, I asked him that question, and maybe it could have been a thing where nature has determined this sickness to make sure that we do die. Because women, if you look at it, if you're very, very basic, women over the age of 50, how do they contribute to the economy? And then you've got men over 60 exactly the same. So there is a demarcation.
Spraying everyone this morning.
Well, no, I'm just saying, I'm being very blunt.
So you reckon George Kanarakis was pushing the theory that we could get cancer after we're over 60, we'll be able to keep the world population down. George, I hope, is not listening to this, because he didn't say anything of the sort.
I understand, but I asked him the question about cancer, whether cancer has already been there.
He said it's been around since the mummies were. He said it hadn't been around that long. He said, no, we've found cancer in mummies, in Egyptian tombs.
That's nature saying that you've got to get off the planet.
2,500 years ago.
But we're trying to prolong and bugger up the planet by living longer.
Yes.
So maybe we should go back. Look,
Don,
I just used that example.
No, it's a good point, Don.
Oh, you're condescending.
I'm not. No, Don.
I can see by the...
Don, I'm not condescending. I sometimes am, but I'm not today now, because if everyone's life is saved after they're 100 and people live till 110, what is the point of that? But the other side of that, Don, is that if you now were just in the throes of maybe passing on through illness, and George came along and said, I can fix that by injecting this protein into your body, don't tell me you wouldn't fall on the old sword and say, oh no, I've had a fair run, I'm going to wind it up, and don't you inject me with anything. Save someone else's life, George. You would say, no, give me the injection, wouldn't you?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know,
right,
because
so
I've talked to a few people on their deathbed, and they haven't... Well... What are you laughing for?
Well, you've spoken about nothing about... no other topic than about death so far today, Don. Try and get a bit upbeat, will you?
This is upbeat.
This is upbeat for him, yeah.
Can we...
Has there been any massacres or mass shootings, or has anyone been
this week.
Pillaged or raped that you know of? Or go ahead, Don. So
Are we allowed to talk about Don's ring?
What ring? I've got my pants on.
Oh, yeah.
What black ring?
On your finger, you idiot. What is that, Don?
It's a ring.
Don, you have become... You've become a fancy Dan. You've become a marauding punce.
A marauding...
Look, you got bracelets on.
Yeah, do you like those?
What do you do that for? Only you, the people... You don't go out. You're the only person that sees them. They jangle around on your wrist. You've dressed up like a fair dinkum, a pox doctor's
Clark.
You are.
And worth a fortune.
No one ever sees you. Hope lightning doesn't strike your wrist. You'll have 9 million volts go through your body. What are you doing, man? What have you got? Rings and jangles and bangles. Bright, shiny beats, dirty bubbles, bangles. No, seriously. Now, the doc, if Doc's listening to this, he will have turned... No, well, not in his grave, because George Kanarakis has actually given him injection, which is going to prolong his life.
Who, the doctor?
Don, it was a joke. Which doc? So the doc in Sydney, he'll be mortified that we're just speaking like this. Hey, topics, Don.
Shut up. What about are you on the marijuana oil still?
Very good.
Can I make a suggestion? You've put me onto it.
And I won't answer that until you finish talking, Don.
Thank you very much. I don't know whether things have changed, but that's a very nice taste, that marijuana oil. They should make I thought about it as a salad dressing.
What, a vanilla marijuana
No,
oil?
salad
or
dressing.
Strawberry?
It's got a nice kind of
Put
nutty...
put the marijuana oil on salad dressing.
Yeah.
Holy
No,
Christ.
get the taste. It's a nutty taste. It's got a little bit of bite in it.
It's got a lot of bite if you use the THC.
No, I'm not
Now-
using that one.
No, I know that. And I'm just going to say this again. Sounds like we're giving them an ad, but we're not.
Well, I'm on it now.
Yes, and I've had
I'll
a
give
lot of
weekly
people ask me.
updates.
I hope. What's the doc's name? James.
Which one?
Yeah, no, the doctor, marijuana doctor. What's his name?
Jimmy Stewart.
Jim Stewart. It is
The
too.
racing
James
driver.
Stewart. I can't give you his phone number, but you can look him up in the, what do you call it? Google him. That's right. It
We're
says
going to
Dr.
make this bloke a monster. Do you realise?
No, I'm only doing this so
Why
we don't
mention
have
his
to
name?
keep. I take calls from people.
You don't. You never answer your phone.
I take Don. I
Jeez.
take calls.
How many numbers you got now? Because I tried ringing you the other day.
Oh yeah, when I was at the theatre watching Top Gun,
No, well,
and you
you've got
rang
to- have you
six. You rang six different people, thinking I might be mortally
Dead.
dead. And
You're
I was
lying
at
on
the
your
theatre.
lying on the floor of your flat unit.
Death again.
Don, I'm only doing this, Don. The marijuana oil, which Dr. James Stewart. Now, I'm just telling you that, so don't keep texting me or leaving messages for me to. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not giving advice about health. We use the marijuana oil. I'm saying it's.
I'm trying it.
Done stuff to me. It's been good for me. But as I say, we're not advising anyone to do anything that they don't wish to do. But if you want to, Jimmy Stewart, his name is Dr. James, and I don't know where he is, but you can look him up. Because and I've had someone from overseas who listens to this have gone to find out where they can get the marijuana oil over and where they are inhabiting, which is Hong Kong. Anyhow, so that's that. It sounds like an ad, it's not. Have you tried the marijuana oil?
No, I'm on the Manuka eye drops.
Manuka?
Manuka, did you know?
Honey eye drops.
Yeah.
What for? What do they do to your eyes?
A bit of eye issues. But,
Manuka.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, I use Manuka
They
honey.
didn't work, by the way, but
What do you mean?
It's a
eye
great
issues?
healing agent, honey.
What do you mean eye issues, Ivan? What, you're going blind?
yeah, going blind.
Yeah,
No, I'm not, no.
Well, what's wrong with your eyes?
Oh, just a bit of
Yes?
a bit of this, a bit of that. I don't know.
Oh, it sounds like you got syphilis or something. Now,
Of the eye.
well, I don't know. What's he talking about? You get it in your eye,
Well,
but not
he-
that eye. Now, Don, seeing as Max is usually here to lead the sports chat off, but finally, an international organisation has grown some balls, if you'll pardon the expression when you know what I'm talking about. The FINA, F-I-N-A. Do you know what that means? That's the International Swimming Council. I don't know how you get swimming out of FINA. It's like I think it's the Fédération Internationale des Nations. That's French, but FINA is the governing swimming body, aquatic sports body, and they have determined that transgender men who pretend they're women will not be able to compete for trophies, medals, positions on a ladder, or pennants. You can do it in schools, and men and women, and no matter what you call yourself, can play sport, but you cannot swim competitively if you're a trans
This will be
person.
challenged. This
How-
will be challenged in the courts by the human rights
Of course
people.
it will be. And
I mean,
we'll have
just-
people like...
the thing is, in a practical sense, with regard to swimming, it represents both male and female. Say it's 50-50.
Yes, men's and women's
Okay, so-
swimming events, Don.
Okay, well that represents the whole world population, say 50-50.
That is the population, Don.
What percentage of the population is made up of trans athletes?
1% of 1% of 1% of 1%.
Okay, if that's a problem, why don't they go and have their own games?
Yes.
Organise themselves
Who are they going to compete with?
against themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
Against themselves, and organise their own sporting thing. That this is made up for male and swimming is is made up for male
Why
and
can
female swimmers.
pompous, arrogant, selfish people try and dominate and take over and ruin a female sport because they want some
But it could be a
notoriety
male
because
sport.
what?
Could be a male sport.
What, men take over male sport?
Women swimming in they might think you've got women swimming in male events.
Well, the whole argument is that men are far more capable.
There may be an
physically.
exception.
I don't mean more capable, not talent-wise, but they are just genetically stronger by their DNA. If you've got an XX chromosome, you're a woman. If you've got an XY chromosome, you're a man, and that's how they should test it, and that should be it.
But it's not done that way. I thought that their criteria was something about transitioning under the age of 12 or 13 or 14.
I think you're onto it, yep.
And that's their criteria. I don't know why that's why haven't they gone back to what you said about, what is it, XY? Oh. I can't believe this. If I was to pick up my phone
Barney, just a minute.
Gee.
Where
Why?
actually, just tell me this. For a reason
I cannot
can't
believe
tell you,
this, man.
For a reason I can't tell you, I'm on the phone. For the reason I can't tell you, we're doing the podcast today, and I've got two. No, hang on, and we're on air. I've taken your call because I've stepped away, and Don and Ivan, who's here co-doing it today, they're incapable of carrying this conversation on the podcast while I'm having a chat to you. Why do you have to say I'm on the phone, Don?
There's
Just
rules
carry
for
on.
one and rules for another.
Well, go on,
isn't
get
there?
on with your
Isn't
topics.
There rules for one
I'll
and
tell you what, Don, I'll take my phone off silent. And,
Oh,
there we go.
jeez, I
It'll be
cannot
open
believe
sober
this,
now.
man. I mean, the world according to Johnny. The
I've
world
got-
revolves around Johnny.
Just a minute, Barney. Don,
Yes.
I've got our friend on the phone from Mount Gambier. Remember where you stole his hay when you took your horse up there one day? He just said, he's a doctor, this man I'm speaking to now.
An orthopaedic surgeon, isn't he?
Yeah, he's an orthopaedic surgeon. He just said that Professor George Kanarakis, you said was fantastic, didn't you?
It was the best one and the most important one you've ever
The best one and the most important one we've ever done, Don. Aren't you glad I took the call? You're sitting there grinning like you just, look at you. You got wind or you're grinning?
Oh, shut up, will you?
Go ahead. Yeah, Barney?
He's managing two conversations.
Yeah, you better listen to this because you've been most of the first part of the podcast. Righto, Don. Right, thank you. So that's Barney McCarthy. Why
Why do we appeal to doctors? Why does this podcast appeal to doctors? We've got them
why when I
overseas,
took
we've
the
got them locally, we've got them interstate.
Dr. Nicole.
I tell you what, well done. If we don't get back on track, I tell you who's going to withdraw their services. The Dr. Fordham.
Oh, we've got
Why? Just tell me this, Don. Why couldn't you and you, Ivan, unless your haircut has removed half your brain? Why
yours is
couldn't?
not too good either.
Why couldn't you, Don? Have when I took
What
this?
do you do to your hair to get it to stand up?
Why couldn't you, Don?
Johnny, tell us.
Well, I've got hair.
I realise I'm envious.
I understand you
You would
asking
be
me
hel-
about
you would
hair
be hel-
follicles because you have none. Now, Don,
I look
don't
at these
interrupt
players
with
today with their white hair. What's his name? The young kid. And
Don't interrupt.
all these hairstyles
Is it
that are on the
natural?
football field. But this man sitting opposite was way out there in his day.
Don, don't.
Do you know he put tips in his hair in the early 70s?
Did he have a mullet?
No. But
Don,
the tips.
Don.
Women only were the ones, but he was so far out there, John.
Doc, if you're listening to this, mate, I'm trying to get him back onto subjects. I don't know why he's rambled on about my hair or...
Well, have a look at you going off at
all
Ivan.
I want to
Yours
know,
is
Doc.
shocking.
All I want to know, Doc, is I'm just... I hope
Short
that
back and sides and sitting
he's
up on
still
top
doing
is
it.
like a flat top. Do you remember the old flat tops?
Don doesn't realise that I can turn his microphone off if he keeps talking. Now, Don, I want to know, this is for the doctor's sake, because he'll be taking notes. and
Which?
No, the doctor in Sydney, you fool, who's running the show. He'll be taking notes about procedure and content. And I'm asking you, on behalf of the doc, who I'm sure would ask this question, when I take a phone call and I just show you that it's a phone, I've got to take a phone call, why couldn't you carry on as though I was still here but I wasn't talking?
Wow.
As soon as I got up, you went, oh, he's got up. Oh, he's moving away. Oh, and
Why
there
would
was
you-
silence.
What
and you,
about putting
Ivan,
your
you
phone
giggling,
on
why couldn't
silent?
Why couldn't you step up to the plate and
There
say
was no leadership, was there?
nothing, Don? You capitulated like a bloody. No, righto. So, FINA, for God's sake, they've finally, and every other sporting body should be the same. Can I just tell you this? Now, this highlights it to me. I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a woman, and she said that in the competition sport she played in,
Which is what?
I'm not telling you what it
Why?
was, because it's a sort of an individual sport.
Well, tell me.
No, I'm not telling you.
Well,
Because it might, I don't want to identify her.
well, you're not going to. There'll be a million of them.
Well, give me some individual women's sports.
Squash.
That's one.
Tennis, golf,
Yes.
What
that's
else?
right. Well, if
netball. Hey, netball.
Yes. No, netball's not an individual sport.
Oh, sorry.
No. So if I say
Well, swimming is, isn't it?
yes.
Oh, not in Perth.
Running,
That's
Yeah, no,
athletics.
swimming, of course, swimming. So if I say to you, you say, what profession did she play? And I say what it is, it'll almost identify her.
What, is she-
Ivan knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I went out to dinner with her last night.
Well, don't mention a name,
Oh,
Ivan.
no, we're not talking about her.
No, fuck it. Then what, Sue? Sue
Oh,
Stan-
no.
Who?
Oh, someone else. We're not going to.
Doc, I apologise, mate. This is we might have to.
Do you think
We
you-
might
do you
have to
think you hit
annul
the
this.
button? Yeah, I think so. This is
Listen, I'm just telling you.
I'm waiting for the shout-outs.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you what. I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a woman who plays an individual sport, and she was the second best at what she did because she was beaten by another woman.
No, I've got it already.
Yeah, well, no, this is what she said. She was beaten by another woman who's actually, in her former life, had fathered 5 children. So she's playing against a trans person who, this is not recent, this is a long time ago. She didn't really know, but found out that he'd fathered 5 children and he was a bloke. And wondered why she couldn't win any of the tournaments.
I
Any
wondered
of the
why.
things she would
She
play.
couldn't
So
work it
doesn't
out.
that what?
Why couldn't she work it out?
What? Work what out?
Yeah, no, go on.
The-
This is
the
this is
person-
going well. What?
The person
Check the
had-
lunch.
Yeah.
What? Would,
Well, I don't know.
so if you're playing someone, Ivan, would you just before you play go up and grab them on the crutch and say, "I just want to make sure I'm playing the right gender"? Hey, would you?
Yeah, no, I probably wouldn't do that.
There's incidentally, Don. I noticed this. I like this, Don. There's a woman in America called. I'll just get her name. Here she is. Tammy Stanton. Tammy Stanton's a woman, and she's a 1,000-pound woman. She's one of those people who weigh as much as a small transit truck. She's 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And she has now come out. This is true. I just saw this on the overseas wires. She has become says she's now a pansexual. A pansexual.
Oh, please.
Yes, one of the alphabet. Just
Pan.
one of the genders. A pansexual. And someone said.
Pan means what?
Someone said she's that means she's attracted to anyone carrying a frying pan, which I thought was very good. She's a pansexual and she weighs 1,000 pounds. And someone said, yeah, that means that she's a pansexual, means she's attracted to anyone carrying a frying pan. Don't you think that's humorous?
Oh, yeah, really.
That's fantastic. Anyhow, so that's Tammy. Doc, I know this is not a great subject, but £1,000, where would you start, Ivan?
453 kilos.
Is that what it is? That's half a ton. So where would you start if you called around to pick Tammy up?
What do you mean, where do you start?
So if you called around, say you'd been catfished.
I'm just thinking about the rolls of fat. How would you go about washing their
get a hose,
creases,
get a fire hose.
What?
Don,
No, seriously.
Don, how would you be?
It would be very unhygienic.
Do you know what catfishing is?
No.
Catfish is when people they pretend there's someone they're not, and they try and lure dates and get relationships going. How would you be if Tammy rang you up? And she said she was, she liked.
Tammy would be so big she wouldn't find the phone. Her fingers would be so big she wouldn't be able to press the button.
She'd not turn up in a.
I'm just thinking about Tammy.
Turn up in a forklift.
So she said that she was quite an attractive-looking lass, and would she like to catch up?
Tammy, I don't think it'd be saying that.
But if she was a catfish, she's become a pansexual. So maybe she was reaching out to other pansexuals. But
they wouldn't be able to meet because they wouldn't get out of their units. They're so big, they just sit there.
Let me just finish what I'm saying,
like
please.
Jellyfish, wouldn't they?
Let me...
Is that the people that need feeders or something?
Yeah, feeders, and they'd have to have looker afterwards,
Don,
wouldn't they? Just
Don, I want your opinion on this without your...
How would you go about showering? You'd have to use a hose or something.
I want your opinion, Don, on if you'd been catfished by Tammy and you weren't aware that she weighed half a ton, don't interrupt me, and you came round to pick her up in your car, your car there.
But she wouldn't get in, she'd be in the bloody back. I mean... I don't think I
came around to pick her up in your tray van there, or whatever that's called.
That's a one-ton truck.
It's
a one-ton.
One-ton truck. And you picked her up and you rang the doorbell, and suddenly you saw the whole hall lights go black because she was walking down the hall.
She wouldn't be walking. She wouldn't be walking.
And you open the door, and there's this... You couldn't see... She can fill the whole door.
You'd have to walk in. She'd be kind of plonked on a chair or a... No, it wouldn't be a chair, would it?
So you would walk...
It'd be a bed, I reckon, a double bed.
You go in and you say, look, I've come to pick up Tammy. Can you tell me where she is? She said, I'm Tammy. And he said, you're Tammy? I said, I thought we were going on a date. We're going out to McDonald's, which is appropriate. How will we get in the car? And she said, I'll tell you what you do, Don. Why don't you drive the car out and back it through the wall of the house? Just back it through. You got a tow bar, it should knock the wall down. It's only fibro, and if you got a block and tackle, and you can drag her onto the back of the tray, and then take her down to
winch her on. You reckon? Winch her on. Winch her on.
Yeah,
put the winch around.
That's right. Yeah, you got a lot of cars. SUVs have winches these days.
Yeah, I know. I was just wondering where you'd attach the winch
on her.
Yeah.
Well, you'd put a big iron ring round her, wouldn't you?
Oh, would you?
And then you'd
pull her on.
Then you'd weld a hook onto the iron ring. You'd need a lot of fucking iron, let me tell you that, a lot of steel, and you'd wrap it around, and then you'd drag her on. And I don't know what you do after that, Don, but that's up to you.
Hey, listen, can we get onto a more sensible subject?
No, we shouldn't have spoken about Tammy. Yeah, go on.
Well, having lain on my back for the past few weeks recovering from this skin cancer, I watched the races from Ascot. The English have got a way of presenting spectacle. It's a spectacle. It really is a spectacle. The way they do the royal thing, Ascot, it is just, you've got to take your hat off to them. It was just a fantastic event.
Well, I don't know if you know this person, but Anne Peacock, she is from the Crown Entertainment Centre. Her sister, I believe, because I think I read it on social media, her sister won a big race in, is this last week?
Yeah, that was on. Yeah, yes, there was an Australian connection because, well, she's Australian.
It's her sister.
I think she won 2
and
races.
Peacocks.
Now, hang on. I think she won 2 races and a third, or
I
got
don't
a placing.
know. I just know that.
And you had Chris Waller
I don't know about Chris Waller or how many races. I just said I think Anne Peacock's sister was successful over at the races. I think in the horse
Royal
racing
Ascot.
department. Yeah, was some other main race going on?
No, that was Royal
Right,
Ascot.
well, that's
that
what
was
it was.
Big, I think it went for 5 days, about a week.
Well, that's what it was. So
It was exceptionally...
I'm just saying that's how I know about
well,
it.
if you watched it, it was exceptionally well done, the way the royal family or the royals or the
Yes.
well-connected came down the straight in beautiful carriages, well-maintained carriages, and just the way they wore their top hats. Even the starter had top hat and tails. The English do it just so well, and the course was just so well presented. It was a spectacle, and they should be very proud. I think it leaves us a little bit behind as far as the Melbourne Cup goes.
Right. And that's, yeah. Now, I was speaking to, now Jackie Epstein, I haven't, we haven't given Phoebe the flick,
Phoebe.
Fiona Byrne, because but I was speaking to Jackie Epstein because she rang me up and wanted to expand on the fact that we said Neil Danaher should become Australian of the Year. I mean, if anyone deserves to be Australian, and Shane Crawford, I keep saying Shane. And I had some response from a couple of broadcasters on the radio, and one pointed out that that he was already Neil Danaher, an AO and an AOM, I think. Maybe he's got both those medals or awards. And I said, yes. Well, you know, to be one of 1,000 people that get some initials, allowed to be put some initials after their name, that's hardly being identified as the one great Australian for the year. And he agreed with that.
Who agreed?
The person I spoke to, the announcer, very popular announcer. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because I was...
As big as the Doctor?
But in a similar vein, I was...
Wouldn't be as big as the Doctor.
I said in a similar vein, Don.
I'd just say I'm rating them just
Don,
like...
this is why the Doc has pulpit. This is why he goes into, has a conniption.
A what?
A conniption. Yeah, it's
That's
an
the word of
English.
the week.
It's an English word, Don. You look it up.
No, I'm struggling to spell it.
Don't worry. This is... So I started to tell you something, which was a topic, and you have completely
Is that
hijacked
called the conniption?
What?
What I did was called a conniption, is it? Now have a look and go, because you're not...
No, Don, I'm trying without... This annoys people, and I keep saying speak into the microphone, so I was trying to motion to you because your cadence bars have gone completely flat.
Yeah, we got that.
You believe this? You just sneezed mucus and snot into my microphone head.
Well,
Did
that's
you hear
why I
that?
don't sit there.
So this is what the doc says. You keep interrupting with just nonsensical gibberish. I was telling you about, in a way, getting around to telling you about Jackie Epstein, and we haven't given Phoebe the arse, but she rang me about the Neil Danaher thing. And then she said, I said, where are you? She said she's up in Queensland at the Logies. Did you know the Logies were on?
Yeah, yes.
What? You did?
Yes.
Right. And Eddie, I was speaking to Eddie, he said he went up and was one of a few people who gave Bruce McAvaney the legend, or the, whatever it's called, the legend of the year, or I've put it into the Hall of Fame. And someone said, wouldn't you think that if you were going to give Bruce a nice piece of memorabilia or thing to remember Bruce by, wouldn't you think you'd play his call of Kathy Freeman winning the gold medal in Sydney in 2000?
That was special.
Yep.
Yes, special. Wouldn't you think? And they were staggered why it wasn't allowed to be shown. And Channel 7, we think, or they think, or I think, have embargoed it for their own selfish, political, petty reasons. They didn't want anyone else to show it because they had it, but it would have been a great fitting tribute to Bruce.
Who?
Bruce.
Is that how you pronounce it?
No, well, I'm Bruce.
Well,
My
doesn't
name is
he own-
Bruce.
Does
What?
he, in the media, does he own the rights
No.
to his own voice?
No.
No?
That's just Channel 7 own the rights, the property.
Yeah, so wouldn't you think you could just say, yes, look, we'll...
But that's what they've been doing that since.
But I just said, isn't that petty?
No,
Well,
well-
you're trying to... Bruce was their main caller on 7. Wouldn't you think they'd say, yeah, we'll give him a good send-off, no matter who is broadcasting the Logies? Who broadcasts the Logies, incidentally? Do you know?
Channel 10.
10.
Yep.
Yeah, so he probably wouldn't want 10 to have any sort of impetus. So that's that.
What's that symbol?
Let's wind that up, he
Oh.
says. So you opened with death. You asked me, was I dying? You said George Kanarakis had no right to keep people alive, or you didn't. You didn't say that, and he doesn't. I know. So,
And Barney thought the interview was good.
Barney, yeah, and you couldn't carry on. We have done nothing here. We gave that miscreant. Do you know what a miscreant is?
No.
Well, look up that when you're looking up conniption. Adam Brandt is a miscreant. Seriously, not standing in front of your Australian flag. He should be run out of Parliament, put into a bottle and sent out to sea on an ebbing tide. With that, we conclude.